Hey everybody, it's me, it's Undead Viking, coming to you with another video review. Today it is Kickstarter game review time, if you will. This is a game that I've had for a while and I've played it a few times now, and I'm not a huge economic game lover. There's a lot of games out there that are kind of based on a lot of economics engines and what have you. And of course, like I'm pretty sure, like a lot of people, when you refer to economic games, they think of either some of the more in-depth 18xx train games, because it's all about stocks and money and what have you. And Power Grid, of course, comes up a lot in conversations. And there's some other ones out there that I've played. I mean, Space Merchants, if you remember, that one came out, I believe, last year, or maybe the year before, which was an economics game at heart. And that was a game that I actually enjoyed. It was one of the rare economics games that I actually had fun playing. And today's game that I'm going to be showing you here very shortly is another economics game that I actually had a great deal of fun playing. The game in question, and this is a prototype, is Battle Merchants. The premise behind Battle Merchants is there is this Fantasyland. There is this it's a fantasy themed game where there are these four four fantasy races: dwarves, hobgoblins, orcs, and elves, and they are constantly fighting each other. And each person plays a battle merchant, and you are basically a person that forges and creates weapons. And you are trying to make money off of the wars. You don't really care who wins or loses. You don't really like. Well, you do kind of, and you'll see that when I show you how the game is played, because you want whoever's got your weapon to win. But you don't really have a dog in the fight, if you will. You aren't an orc, you aren't a dwarf, so on and so forth. You are just somebody looking to make money off of the wars. So you create weapons and you sell them to the different races, and then at a certain point the game kind of stops, and you have you resolve all the conflicts that are ongoing at that point, the different wars that are happening, and then based off of that, you figure out whose weapons are best, and so on and so forth, and then you get a little bit of extra money depending on if your weapons survive the battles, and then you just go on to the next round. And like a lot of economics games, it's all based on money and who can make the most money, and whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins the game. So that's basically the theme. It is a game that handles 2 to 4 people. I've only played it with 4 and 3. The 2-player has a 2-player, like a dummy player, and I've monkeyed with it just solo to see how that works, and it works pretty well. But what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you kind of like how a 4-player game works. I'm just going to kind of show you a round of it. I'm not going to go really in depth into the rules. But after that, I'll tell you exactly what I think, and since it's a Kickstarter game, I'll tell you where. Obviously there'll be a link below the video that you can follow, and you'll be able to see where you can go if this game interests you, and you can back it, and you can see if it's gets published, then you can get a copy, and so on and so forth. And I'm sure, since it's Minion Games, I'm sure that there'll be tons of super cool add-ons and what have you, like all Kickstarters have, that you can of course pimp your game out and get all those little exclusives and what have you. But the designer, is Gil Hova. I don't know who Gil Hova is. This is the only game I think I've ever seen by Gil. But Gil, he made a pretty cool game, so kudos to you. But enough jibber jabber. Let's show you how to play Battle Merchants. Okay, everybody, this is the Battle Merchants game board. It's set up for a 4-player game presently. Over here you just see some of the weapons that you'll be building and be placing on the board, and here's some cards that I'll be showing off and what have you. You do use money. I don't have this is a prototype, which I always say for most Kickstarter games. So make sure that everything you see here, it could very well end up looking somewhat or much like the end result of the game, but there's even some things here that don't coincide with the actual game. You'll notice that there's spots here on the board for hammers, yet the parts I have don't have hammers. Instead, I have pole arms. You know, so there's things like that that little discrepancies, but the actual gameplay is unaffected at all by it as well. For money, I'm just using my cool miniature poker chips, and you do get these little player boards, and like this is my dude here, Max's Metalworks, and it's nice that it has like the actions listed over here that you can do. It tells you what the end game scoring is, how much weapon prices are when you sell, and so forth. You can see here with reward tiles, as you play the game, you will take reward tiles which will make things worth more when you sell to certain races, and so you can see Max already makes more money when he sells to hobgoblins here. And you can see Max right now has the ability to make maces and swords. But as the game progresses, he will learn how to make others. So, you know, pretty straightforward. And like over here is a spot for defeated weapons. When your weapons are successful in battle, you'll take trophies. Other people's weapons that lose, and here are the weapons you've forged over here that you can then sell. I won't really refer back to this much as we're playing the game, but just wanted to show that to you. So each person will have something like that. So as the game progresses, you will slowly but surely kind of develop your weapon forging empire, and you will make basically spur combats to occur between the four races: the dwarves, the hobgoblins, the orcs, and the elves. And the way it is set up is like the dwarves and the orcs will never fight, the hobgoblins and the elves will never fight. It's just these little spots here. These are where the combats are occurring. To begin the game, you have to make sure that you turn over the cards that are available to start with. These are just paper. Obviously, these will be much better. These are the three. You start with 3, and as these are taken, you immediately replace them at the beginning of the next person's turn. You know, like a standard card here is this one says Scavenger. You gain $1 every time one of your weapons is defeated in battle. So even if you don't have a really good weapon and it gets destroyed, you still get $1 for doing that. It's important to note that like this card, like Traveling Salesman card, you notice at the bottom it says add $2. You don't pay $2 to get the card, you just get the $2 when you take the card. So sometimes taking your card will earn you a little bit of money too. And I just wanted to show you this one real quick. The localized need. It says take the village reward tile. Well, unfortunately, there is no village because in a previous version of the board, there was a village location where battles occurred. Instead, now it's the grassland. So in this case, you would be taking this grasslands tile. And much like other reward icons, when you take that, you're earning an extra $1 whenever you sell to one of these battles that's located here. So I'm just going to kind of go through what you can do in each turn. And I apologize. You do set out 5 of these cards to start with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are the different weapon forges that you can do. And the different crafts, if you will. And so each one of these will be available and as they're used, you replace them with the next person's turn, because you can take these as an action. Now some of these will say free on them. So if you take like this, which would increase, it's a battle axe craft. There's one little star up here, meaning that you'd increase your battle axe skill or battle axe crafting skill by 1. It will never cost anything to do that. But if, say, you have this one, which is polearm times 2, you take whatever level of polearm you're currently at, or whatever thing you have, and then you times that by 2, and you have to pay that amount of money to take this. If you happen to have 0, meaning like with Max, he has no polearm skill. If he took this times 2 times 0, you get it for nothing. And I should show you this one as well. This one is for crafting maces, and there's a gold coin over here. And the gold coin means that whenever you craft a mace now, it costs 1 coin less to make them. So, and it's a ×1, so you would, whatever skill level, you take that times that. And then it gives you an extra level of skill in the weapon. And then it would, once again, cost less. So, something nice to have as far as, ongoing as the game continues. You can make those weapons for cheaper. When you craft weapons, you can craft weapons of varying skills. And normally skill is just a number. I made a level 3 sword. And that only really comes into effect when you actually have a battle. Meaning that, like, a level 3 sword against a level 1 axe, the level 3 sword wins. Sometimes, once you get to level 5 in your crafting ability, you can start making Vorpal weapons. And Vorpal weapons have, notice the 5. They cost a heck of a lot more to make. They sell for a heck of a lot more. And a Vorpal weapon will always defeat a normal weapon. If 2 Vorpal weapons happen to meet, if you will, you would still measure the 2 different skills against each other. It also should be noted that if you manage to get to be the first person, the first battle merchant that gets to a level 6 in making a weapon, you can unlock one of these skills, and you just get to take it. And once per season, you can both forge and sell a weapon as a single action. Normally, you forge weapons, and then another action later, you get to sell them. And then when you use them, you just flip it over for that season. There's 4 seasons in the game that are denoted by here. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Now, some of these cards have permanent on them, and when you have permanent, those you can only have a certain number of permanent cards. In spring you can have 2, in summer you have 3, in autumn you have 3, in winter you can have 4. So you got to make sure you pick one that's good, obviously, and that's actually going to continue to help you, because you can't have a ton of those cards. But anyway, on your turn, you can take several actions. You can just take a card, which is pretty self-explanatory. You can take one of the upgrading craft. So like if on my turn I said, well, I like this. I like the idea that I can spend less to make my maces. It's a ×1 card, and if you remember, Max already has 1 level of mace there. So if I add this, I ×1 times the level, and that would be 1 coin. So I would take one of my monies and I would put it in the bank. But then I would have the ability to make a level 2 mace, and it would cost 1 less. So, and then everybody else takes a turn, and so on and so forth. And I'm not going to go through everybody's turn. I'm just going to kind of show you what each person can do. So, comes back to Max, and now he wants to, say, forge a weapon. So he can look, and he can see, well, where are maces needed? I see the dwarves need a mace here, and the orcs need a mace there. Now, it's important to note that you can only sell to the top level first until these battle tokens get taken off. And once they're taken off, then that unlocks the next level. So you can't just sell down to here. You got to start at the top and work your way down. So Max decides he's going to forge a weapon, and so he's going to forge a mace because it costs him less. And you can see it's a normal, the base forge for a mace is 5, but because he's got that one that lowers it down, he can forge it for 4. So we're going to take 4 of these coins, turn them into the bank, and then I'm going to take this mace. And now it says 1 on it, but don't worry about it doesn't matter. You just take that mace and then you just put it in front of you, and you have that mace that you can then sell on your next turn. So it goes around and around, and let's just say, somebody in their first turn, they had built a pole arm, and they had placed it there in that location, let's just say. And then you place a cube on them, like so, when they do that. And technically, since Green did that, they would have taken a race token off there, but I will explain that on Max's turn when he goes. So now it's Max's turn, and he is going to sell his mace, and he notices now he can finish off a combat. So he's going to go there, and he's going to place that, and he's going to sell it to the orcs. Well, the first thing he does is he makes his money. Well, if you can see the base sell is 6 for all weapons. So I will take 6 coins back out of the bank. So I get that back, and I can place that in my stronghold, if you will. And then I'm going to take a cube, and I'm going to put that on there. And now what's going to happen is that battle is complete. So we're going to take that token, and we're going to place it on that spot in the spring. Now, once there are 3 battles raging, that's going to signal the end of the season. And so, and just several more turns go, people are taking these cards and what have you, and I'm not going to, like I said, go through everything. But let's say, Battle Axe got built there, and a Longsword got built there. Let's just place those like that. That finished off that battle. And, let's just go ahead and let's put a Longsword there, but nobody ever, fought that one. Maybe Max went and he had a Longsword and he built that there. And nobody else fought against him. But over here, a Battle Axe was built by Yellow. Not a Battle Axe, I'm sorry. A Battle Axe was built over here, and a Polearm was built by Green, like there. So that signaled the end of the season. There are 3 battles going, and it's the end of the season. So what happens is that everything is done, and each person, actually, when one person, like if Max is the person to signal the end of the season, every other person gets another turn, because you can't just end it like that. So it already gets, and then after that has been done, you now have to resolve the battles. And what happens is you compare the different skill levels of each crafting ability of each weapon, and whichever one is better, they win. If they tie, both the weapons are destroyed, but for your troubles, because during the battle you were there and helping them sharpen and maintain the weapon, each person gets $1 for doing so. Now, in some situations, you might actually even own both the weapons on either side. You're playing both sides against each other. But in this situation, let's say these two had the same level of weapon, and so these 2 weapons were destroyed. We just take them off, but both red and yellow would get $1 for their trouble for having that battle. And then when we got over here, the green polearm wasn't as powerful as the Battle Axe. So the Battle Axe stays, but the polearm is destroyed. Now, but yellow would get this token as a prize, and they'd place that next to their board. There was no fight here, nothing happened. And Max, let's say, increased his maces high enough and to defeat the polearm, and so we defeat that polearm, and Max gets to take this as a prize at the end of the season. And so now we take a look at the board, and anybody who has a weapon that's still out there, regardless if they're in a battle or not, gets 2 coins, because it gets $2. Basically, you have a contract with them to maintain the weapon and upkeep and sharpen and everything like that. So yellow would get 2, green would get 2, but Max, since he's got the 2 weapons sitting out there, would earn himself 4 more coins. And he placed that in his bank. And then we take the cards if there are still cards here, we take them, get rid of them. Take these crafting cards, take them, get rid of them. Fresh new cards all around, and then you start the next season. Now, the interesting thing is that even though this one doesn't have a token there, you can still sell to these locations. You could sell a polearm here. You could sell a polearm there. Things like that. And you can continue to build. The big thing is that you got to try to make sure that you sell to each race at least once a season, so you can maintain that extra bonus of getting that extra $1 each time that you're selling off the coins. After you've done all 4 seasons, everybody collects all their money, and you unsold weapons, you get to sell them for its end sell value. You can see basic weapons are worth 3, and warp weapons are worth 13. And then whoever has the most defeated armies, like meaning the most little tokens that they've collected earns a bonus of 15, and second earns a bonus of 7. Some kingdom cards will give you a bonus at the end, like this traveling salesman card. And then you just total up all the money, and whatever who's got the most coinage will win the game. And that's how you play Battle Merchants. So, but as always, let me tell you exactly what I think of the game, and I'll do that right now. You know, candies come and go, but the classic Red Hots, good stuff. Left over from a movie I went to, which, good stuff. But anyway, here I am talking with my mouth full. I should be telling you what I think of Battle Merchants. Okay, so you should have an idea of how to play, and it's pretty straightforward. It has a lot of things, little intricacies and what have you, that I really enjoy. A lot of times, economic games are really dull and kind of, for lack of a better term, they're just really dry. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you know, Euros are just dry." And you know, honestly, you could take this theme. It wouldn't have to be a fantasy world. It could be present day. You know, you could have made a you know, current, you know, weapon of death merchant or whatever type of situation, and you could have made like a lighthearted James Bond spy type thing. You could have gone a lot of different ways, and just regardless, it's just you got to come up with an item that you'd create where two people would fight, and the items would determine which one survives. And so you could have got everything. But I do like the fantasy theme, and I do like the idea that I am just playing this person that's just making money off of the blood of these wars. I mean, and the thing is and I guess maybe there's a little twinge, if you made it real, there would be a twinge of a moral dilemma, if you will. You know, it's just like, here I am, I'm profiting on the death of these people or what have you. But since this is, you know, fantasy elves and orcs and what have you, we don't really have to worry about it because they're not real. So, regardless, I do dig the theme, and I dig the way they went with the art, kind of cartoony, and it's very interesting. But don't let that kind of the look of it fool you into thinking that it's a very simple game, because it isn't. There's a lot of really cool things about it that I enjoy. I like the fact that you have to be buying and selling weapons at bulk, for one, because I mean the difference between making it and selling it isn't enough for you to really start making money that way. But the most important thing to do is you need to start collecting the bonuses that either decrease the amount that it costs for you to make the item, or increasing the amount of money it's worth to you to be selling the item. So you got to make sure that you're, you know, diversifying in the different markets, you know, and make sure that you try as much as you can to sell to each race at least once every round. So you can make sure that you're constantly escalating that ladder, because you never really want to get stuck in a situation where you can't either, one, make the weapon that you need to for the spot on the board, but and also you never want to be stuck trying to sell something to a race that really isn't worth it, you know, worth your trouble. You want to make sure that you kind of are always diversifying, if you will. I guess in a way you could try to specify, or try to make a very like, I'm just going to sell to orcs. That's all I'm going to sell to. And I guess you could try that, but I mean, it just seems to me like whenever I've tried to do that when I played the game, you know, there's so few opportunities on that spot that you're just kind of hamstringing yourself. I like the little extra cards that they add in there, and the fact that you have to be really choosy about which ones you pick, because they're permanent. A lot of them are permanent. So right away at the very beginning you think, oh, this card's great. and you take it and you put it in front of you, but now you've used up that spot for the rest of the game. So you got to make sure that you pick the right card that's going to actually keep paying you off for the rest of the game, because that's a very, very valuable spot. I mean, a lot of games out there, it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, and then you can replace a card that's there with another card. You just can't do that in this game. So I mean, it requires a lot of forethought and planning. I also really like the fact that the players, in a lot of ways, have the ability to kind of speed or slow up the game because of the fact that they're the ones that are causing the conflicts. I mean, if you sell a mace to an elf and they're sitting around waiting for the hobgoblins to get a sword to fight, well, if nobody sells that, that fight never happens. And so if you were in a situation where you have a pretty good economic engine going and you're making money, but other people are just, they're trying to get going. Like how a train is, it's like they're just spinning their wheels and they're trying to get going. You're in a situation where you might make a sword and sell the sword to that hobgoblin, and maybe make next to no money by doing so. But you're doing it to speed the game along so the other people's engines can't catch up to the one that you have. And also, you as another player, you're the one that has to be constantly on the lookout for situations like that and trying to prevent other people from doing that by taking certain like the weapon contracts, not contracts, I can't think of the word right now, the different weapon plans that you have so you can create other weapons. So like taking certain weapons so other people don't have it. So you can kind of try to hedge the market in a lot of ways in certain situations like that. So you can see there's a lot of different things that I really like about the game. It because a lot of the cards are random. The game is different each time you play, and you can kind of go in with a mindset saying, okay, this is going to be what I'm going to try to do. But if the right cards don't come over or the right tokens don't come over, then perhaps you just don't have that option. You have to kind of think on the fly and recreate your strategy. All in all, like I said, it's a very challenging game. It's a lot of fun, and I've had a great deal of enjoyment when I've played it with my friends. And for a group of people that don't play a lot of economic games, this one's seen the table a lot. So I guess that's probably like the best suggestion I can give you, is that normally we wouldn't play a game like this, but this is a game that we've actually enjoyed a great deal, just because of the fact the way it feels, and it's very it's deep, but it isn't overly complex. And it actually, there's a couple people I've played it with that they've never really played this type of game, but I just introduced the game to them, and they had a lot of fun as well. I wouldn't say it's a gateway game by any means, but it definitely, if you're looking for an economic engine type game, it isn't as complex as some of the other ones that you'll see out there, on the shelf, if you will. So there you go. That's Battle Merchants, Minion Games. If you follow the link that I will post, you will be able to head over to that Kickstarter and see if it's something else that you would like to back and get a copy of once it gets published. So I invite you to do so, and like I said, there's probably going to be a bunch of really cool little added bonus Kickstarter stuff, so you can always make sure you get all that cool bling to add to your game if you back the game. So, well, thank you as always for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions or concerns or ideas, you can post them as always down there, and I will try to answer those to the best of my ability. Well, until next time, this was Undead Viking. You have an awesome day. Bye-bye.